Hey, Pat McCardle with Polaris here, bringing you another episode of Shop Talk. In this one, we're really going to focus on comfort and cockpit adjustments on the Pro XP, Turbo R, and Pro R, because all three are pretty much the same. Jumping in right away, I pulled the seat out of the driver's side here so you guys can kind of see what this seat frame looks like. Pretty simple. This lever right here is what's going to allow you to slide the seat forward and back. So you pull it to the left, and that whole frame is going to be able to slide forward and back. The other key thing to point out is this bolt right here and this bolt on the other side. You'll see right below it, there's two extra sets of holes here. That's actually going to allow your seat to angle back. So if you want a more relaxed or reclined seating position, you can pop those two screws out, rock the whole frame up, put them back in, and then when you drop your seat in, it's going to be laid back at a steeper angle for you. Next thing we got to talk about here is how do you adjust the seat, the steering, and the belts. So first off, I'm going to jump in. I'm like 6'1". I'm a little too close to the dash. I'm going to grab that lever I just showed you. I'm going to slide that seat back to make sure my feet are in a comfortable posture going into the pedals and the dead pedal here. Next thing I want to do is the steering wheel. So pretty simple. I open the lever down here. That's going to unlock my steering wheel for tilt. And on this model, I get telescope as well. So you leave it unlocked, you kind of let it float, and don't look at the gauge here, but look out at the horizon, at where you're going to be looking when you drive. And what I want you to do is get a little bit of bend in your elbow and actually rest your wrists on the steering wheel so that they're in a comfortable position. Not that your elbow's locked all the way out, not that it's all the way jammed up at you, but get it in a comfortable spot where your wrists are right at the 10 and 2 spot, kind of looking where you're going to be looking where you're going down the trail. Reach down, lock that lever up, and now when I grab the steering wheel, what you're going to find is that my shoulders are buried in the seat. I've got nice posture in my wrists, my elbows, my shoulders, and I'm going to be able to have good steering control and be comfortable all day long. The next thing I want to do is reach down and get my shoulder straps and my harness. And what I want to do is actually grab the two sides of the buckle and pull them down so they're kind of right over my waist and hips, snap them together, and get my butt scooted back in the seat. Now, the order that I go here is hips first. So I got one strap on the left side. Got to reach down and find the one on the right. But I want to tighten that up, both sides, and get that thing down like a good Texas belt buckle, okay? I don't want this up in the small of my belly. You know, I want to make sure that I'm pretty centered left to right. So I might have to loosen one side, tighten the other, go back, cinch up the other side. That's about where I want it. Now I'm going to reach down and grab the thigh adjusters, and I'm going to cinch those up, left side and right side. And then there's a little strap here that goes across your chest. And what that's going to do is keep the belt from splaying apart in the event that you got to go forward. Now the nice part on these models here is that there's actually a single retractor. You can probably see under my leg right down here in the front of the seat. So if I ever need to reach forward and grab something out of a storage bin or reach over, help a passenger out, I can do that and move around. But if I get to a point where I need the belts to lock, both will lock at the same time. So it's not like some of the previous models that had dual retractors where you might get one shoulder locked into place and the other move and you have to push back to get it to unlock. With the lower position down in the vehicle closer to the CG, we tend to get less unwanted locking, and it only does lock up when you truly need it to. So I'm basically ready to go in a good posture where my legs are comfortable, my arms are comfortable, I'm locked in the seat, I can reach the shifter no problem. And the nice part is, when I want to get out and get back in, all I got to do is open that belt up. Next time I jump in, don't have to go through all the adjustments because it's set up for me. I click it together, get that rubber strap on, get my steering wheel while I like it, make sure I got my helmet, my other gear on, turn the key, and I'm ready to go. So remember when we talked about the angle of the seating position? That's key for being able to see over the dash. So get that set how you like it. But we do give you a slightly more upright seating position than some of the competitive models in the market. That does a couple things. Number one, it makes it so you can keep your shoulders planted on the seat while you got your hands on the steering wheel instead of being slung forward. But it also allows you to see over that hood so that you can see what's coming on the trail and you can see any obstacles that you're going to have to drive around as you go. So we've got really nice sight lines. We've got a really comfortable interior, great dead pedal and leg placement. Plenty of room for even taller folks in the cockpit. Overall, super comfortable machine once you get it dialed in for your height and size. All right, next thing's up. What are all the features that you can adjust on the gauge right behind the steering wheel here? So first things first, if you look at this mode button and you hit that, it'll adjust the top row between miles per hour, engine speed or RPM, and engine coolant temp. So, you know, my engine's pretty cold at 97 right now. I tend to like to see my coolant temp while I ride, so, you know, I might leave it there. If you hit the up and down button, you can adjust the center here. So you've got odometer, first trip meter, second trip meter, battery voltage, number of engine hours for service, counting down for when you got to change your oil next. And then you can also, you know, set this to be coolant temp. So maybe I want to see coolant temp in miles per hour. But the other thing, if you leave the center in odometer and hold down this mode button, you get into an options menu that you can do a lot of cool adjustments on. So I'm going to go down just to kind of show you here, but you can change the units, so miles per hour or kilometers an hour. You can add a pin, so it adds a degree of interlock to make it harder to start for somebody that, you know, instead of just having to swap a key, you actually got to type a pin code into the display. Service hours is the number of hours till your next maintenance is due. Backlighting level, this is kind of a neat one where you can actually dim down the backlighting if you don't want it as bright, especially for nighttime riding. And this is one a lot of people don't realize. You can actually change the color from blue to red. So if you like red better than blue, you can swap out the backlight color on your gauge. Clock, you can just set it here, go from 12 to 24 hour. Again, Fahrenheit or Celsius on the units, and then get back to whatever you like, and away you go. All right, now we're gonna show you a couple things you wanna set up on this Ride Command display as well. So we left off, we were talking dynamics, but if you hit this center button, you'll get a drop down for a menu, and I'm gonna go to all settings here quick on the bottom right. Normally you'd start up here on info, but I'm going down to vehicle, and there's one you see here that says steering wheel shortcut button. I'm gonna tap on that. Now the cool thing here is I got 5 options for the short press and the long press. I tend to like mine to set up so that I can do a short press and go to the next screen. And I like dropping waypoints with a long press, so when I'm riding, I don't have to take my hands off the wheel if I see something cool and I want to come back to it later. So the nice part now is if I'm actually, you know, in one of the screens, I can reach over to the left side of the steering wheel, hit this Polaris star button, and it should advance to the next screen as I tap it. And when I get back to mapping, if I hold it down, you'll actually see that it drops a waypoint right where I am, and I can keep going and come back and rename that waypoint later. Some other neat things in this settings menu that are going to be good to know about. If you want to set up your group ride, you can go in here and show the pop-ups for that, and you can actually set up what some of the quick reply messages are so that you can just tap on that without having to type if you got other people in your riding group. You can do the engine start lockout. That was kind of like the pin code we talked on the other screen. You can see, you know, service lights. If there's any diagnostics, that could you could look at them here. From the audio side, you can adjust your fade and balance. If you got rear speakers, you can change the EQ settings. There's some neat stuff there. Time is pretty straightforward. I'm just going to grab that from GPS. The general one, this is one that you might want to do for your Ride Command account. You can actually sign in. That way, when you've got your phone paired up, it'll actually bounce up to the cloud, pull all your tracked rides and waypoints in. And you can actually use that to set up a group. So if you got a buddy that maybe doesn't have as sweet as machine as you, and they've got a phone with the Ride Command app, you guys can, you know, you can see them on your display. And if they want to stop, pull out their phone and check where you are, they can do that too. So there's some cool stuff you can set up with that Ride Command app. You know, again, you can change units, you can do some of this info, and you can also update your software and your maps and trails here. And then the general info is just going to tell you a little bit about, you know, the vehicle that you've got. So, you know, overall, a lot of cool things that you can set up here. All right, so the next thing you can set up, if you hit this first button, is kind of your main gauges and gauges screen. If you tap down in the bottom right here, you can actually set up the information and the layout. So I'm going to click on Add New, go to my new screen. You know, you can have a couple dials and some digital. I tend to like the all digital, so I get 5 things. If I click over on data, you know, this is where I can change what I see. So, you know, maybe I don't care about a compass because I'm, you know, looking where I'm going, but I want to see fuel level. You know, I don't need trip meter, but man, I want to see what my boost is doing. Hit that check mark and away I go. It's set up just the way I want it. And you know, maybe I want to flip so I can see engine speed and attack at the same time. Flip them over, whatever you want. It's ready to go for you. All right, so the other thing we got to mention is what do these steering wheel controls do? Right side is all about dynamics. Left side is all about audio and infotainment control. So on the right, you can hit the up and down button to adjust your dynamic settings. Tap that red button, takes all your shocks to full firm. You can hold it down as long as you want. It'll bleed off after that. On the left side is going to be all about audio.
Found
so
Lake Street to 94.
You got left and right to adjust your volume up and down. And if you hit that play pause button while you're on FM, it'll automatically mute for you. And if you hit it again, it'll bring the audio back. And then that star was whatever you set it up for. So you can advance the screen, or right now I got it set up to drop a waypoint if I hold it down. Easy as that. All right, last thing in the cockpit we got to adjust is for the passenger. So we got to get over to the grab handle. This one, pretty simple. You got 2 levers, you flip them toward the inside of the vehicle, and this handle will float along with you. There's some indentations here, so you can only get it in those spots. Kind of wiggle it a little, get the first side, and then when you come over to the second side, give it a little wiggle. You can even see there's lines on here that line up with the bushing, so you know that you're gonna be in the right spot. And I tend to like this a little closer to myself. Some people like it further away. Adjust it where it's comfortable for you. Nice thing on this grab handle is you got lots of options on where you can put your hands. Some people go close, some up here, some down here, some on the bend. But as you go throughout the day, you got a lot of spots you can move your arms around that are gonna be comfortable and allow you to keep them inside the cockpit. All right, so now that you got everything adjusted, the other cool thing is kind of how we design the floor, the seat, the cockpit experience, where we really design this all around the driver and passenger. We've got, dead pedals that are flat across, so you can keep good hip placement and you don't get twisted throughout the day. You can shove your feet forward more or bring them back on those pedals. On the driver's side, the dead pedal and the throttle are actually lined up. So overall, super comfortable cockpit, really easy to get everything adjusted for you, your passenger. Make sure you help them out first. But yeah, that's it for this episode of Shop Talk. Remember to click that subscribe button and leave some comments on what you want to see next time.